And it says I'm live, and ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I am. I'm having some internet connectivity problems today, so this is happening over 4G. If you see buffering or stuttering, do let us know in the comments, but there may be very little I can do about it. My green light's on. I think you can hear me. If you can, please send a comment saying, yes, I can hear you, just so I know. And right away, let's crack straight on with today's topic, which, as you can see, is Outlook mail issues, scams, how to stay safe. Now this, we wrote about this today on Naked Security. We have a great article there. It's a long and detailed deconstruction of this latest round of phishing scams. We took the scam apart as usual, so you don't have to. But the reason I wanted to focus on this particular one is that it's kind of left the old school, oh, we're all doomed, act now or else you'll lose money or something like that scams. And it's kind of gone towards the idea of, hey, this is a self-help, IT self-help email with some links in it that you might be used to getting, possibly even from your own IT department or from support services that you regularly deal with for IT. Just checking comments. Yes, I can hear you all the way from Ottawa. Karen from Phoenix. Another comment that just passed off. Kate B, can hear you. Excellent. That's 4. Sorry for the first person. I missed who you were, but I will come back and give you some greets later on. So we talk about Outlook email scams, a wave that we just saw recently. And like many phishing scams you're seeing these days, they're not about scaring you. They're just about saying to you, hey, here's a way you can help yourself, self-support. A lot of companies are using that either for their own support of their customers or internally in IT. You know the format, you put in a request or you go on the website and it says, click here, and it sends you an email with a whole load of guidance based on a couple of questions you've answered. And the idea is you don't have to sit, it makes support cheaper, but for many people, in 90% of the cases, it does let you fix the problem yourself, so you don't have to open a support ticket, you don't have to sit in a queue. So this sort of system works really well, but as you can imagine, it's something the crooks can hang their hats on easily. So this one looks like this. I'll go through very quickly what this particular scam looks like. I think you will grudgingly have to admit, as I did in the Naked Security article, that the crooks kind of got this one right. It's the kind of thing that you shouldn't fall for, but you can see how you might just do so on a bad day. And then I'll go into some tips and some suggestions. 6 tips, 2 suggestions, and I'll try and get through those as quickly as I can. So let's start by having a look at what it's like. This is what the email looks like when it comes in. I hope you can see that. Important notice, fix incoming email issues. And there's a sort of progress bar that says, well, this is what you have to do. There's a couple of things you have to click. And basically, the idea is that there's a bunch of emails waiting. There's some problem with your mailbox and you need to fix it. Now, in this particular case, what the crooks did in this email is they spoofed things so that it looks like the email comes from your own mailbox. Now, we've seen that before with porn scam or sextortion emails, haven't we? Where the crooks, they make it look as though the email came from your account with the hope that you believe that they really have got your password and they really are inside your stuff. In this case, we presume that the idea is that the crooks want to make it look as though the email did come from some automated internal system, and what that means is you can probably trust it. The other thing that they did, which is quite naughty, and we've seen this and quite smart, we've seen this a few times in scams, is that they use a web link where the text of the link, the thing that comes in blue, is a URL. So it says https://portal.yourcompany's-domain-here/OWA, which is of course Outlook web app. But that looks like the link and it comes up in blue, but it's just the text of the link, and if you hover over it, it actually takes you somewhere else. So what they've done is they've made the text of the link look like the link itself, but when you actually click on it, it doesn't go to the link that the text says, in the same way that if you have a link that says click here for more details, it doesn't take you to a URL called click here. Now, you might wonder, why don't operating systems, browsers, cybersecurity software tools like Sophos' own, why don't we detect and block any link where it's obviously designed to be devious like that, where there's some text in there, but when you actually click on it, you go to they both look like links, but they don't agree. Surely that's trickery. And the problem is that quite a lot of legitimate sites do exactly that. They have links, text that looks like a link, but the link you click probably has tracking codes or other stuff. If you go to nakedsecurity.sophos.com, we show you how that works, for example, with the Google search engine, and why, unfortunately, we can't just find links that look as though there's a dangerous dichotomy, if you like, between the text of the link and where the link goes. In other words, it kind of looks like it's supposed to deceive. Unfortunately, there seem to be many legitimate uses for that kind of thing. So we have to take other steps. Now, of course, the idea is that it looks like your own company's Outlook web app portal, and when you click the link, you actually get to a page that looks completely legit. And this is the smart thing that crooks are doing these days. They're really paring down their scams so that they don't even have room for spelling mistakes and grammar errors. And that's what this one looks like. It's just a basic Outlook web app page, email and password. The email is filled in for you because it's actually embedded in the link. I masked it out above so you can't see how this works. Now that Sophos products block the original link that you click on and this fake portal page that you go to and what happens next. And actually what happened when we tried it out is it gives you a fake password error. You try again a second time. Presumably the crooks are trying to differentiate there between people who are really trying to log in and people who are just typing in any old garbage to see what happens. So presumably they're actually looking for you to put in two passwords that match, that give them a hint that you're a real person at the other end actually trying to log in. And on the second time it sends you to a decoy page, something that it just looks like that. Now you probably spot that there's something a little bit weird about that, but it takes you afterwards to a legitimate web page that has to do with Microsoft Outmail web app, tells you how it works and so forth. And the reason crooks use these decoy pages at the end is it gives them a way to kind of let you exit from the scam sequence, putting in your password on the wrong side, with a lower chance that you'll realize, oh no, I got phished. Because by the time you go looking, in that page I just showed you here, the Microsoft web app page, it is actually a genuine Microsoft web page with a genuine Microsoft web certificate, and it's real information about the real thing. And if you click through, you will find out more about Outlook web app, and it's all legitimate. So by that stage, if you're thinking, oh, I wonder if that was genuine, you might be fooled into thinking, okay, that didn't look like anything bad happened. So you're less likely to realize afterwards, oh no, I got phished. I need to take some immediate action, report it, change my password, etc., etc. So as you can see, that the bottom line here is that the crooks are moving away from this scary, you must act now, 5 exclamation points, click here, it's your bank account in danger, you could have money drained out of your account. It's basically saying, in our case, it claimed to be from 2 a.m. this morning, or yesterday morning, which is when we received this sample. So since 2 a.m. email's been building up. You've probably experienced times when you've gone into work or you're working from home and you log in the morning, there aren't any emails, and after a little while you get a message from IT saying, whoops, we had some problems with email, and a whole lot of stuff arrives and all sorts itself out. So from that point of view, although it's fake, although if you hovered over the link, you'd see that it didn't really take you to an Outlook web page, then it's easy to believe that this is something that might happen, and it appears that you resolve the problems. And of course, if you then do go and log into your Outlook web access or log in with your Outlook client, everything will work and all your emails will be there. And so it's easy to infer that, well, I must have done what was required, everything's sorted out, I'm good to go, and I helped myself without bothering IT. So let's look at the tips that I promised for how you can actually avoid this kind of scam. So we've gone through some of these before. I'd like to go through them again. Apologies for repeating myself, not necessarily repeating to you guys who are watching now, but just reminding you of this stuff so you can pitch this to your friends, to your family, to your colleagues who may not realize that this modern style of phishing, where the emails are perfectly believable, perfectly low key, seem perfectly innocent, and don't give themselves away as obviously as they used to with spelling mistakes and aggression and threats and so forth. So you can go and pitch these tips to them to help them keep themselves safe, and if your colleagues in the same company, so that they can help you keep safe as well. Because remember, when it comes to phishing, when it comes to social engineering, crooks don't send one email, they send millions, and any company which receives one spam or one scam email, typically 10 or 50 or 100 people in the company will receive the email at the same time. And it only takes one person to make a small mistake to give the crooks a foothold that could make everything end badly. Simply put, as I've said before, an injury to one is an injury to all when it comes to things like phishing and scamming. And we know what happens if the crooks get a foothold, particularly if they get a foothold in your email. Then your company may become a victim to what's called business email compromise, where the crooks are actually able to send emails from inside your company to people saying, hey, pay this account to another person, change the payment details on this, adjust this password. And if they get hold of a senior person's account like the CEO or the CFO, then that can be even worse because, who wants to say no to the CEO or the CFO? So let's go through the tips very quickly. Firstly, check links in emails before you click. It's easy to think, oh, it looks legit, I'll click through and it'll be obvious if it's a phish later. So check before you click on the grounds that if you can see that something bad is going to happen, don't even go there, no matter how interesting it might seem. We did in this case, but we did so in a controlled way that we hope, wasn't going to put us into harm's way. So don't look even if you think probably is a phish, don't go and look just to see what it looks like. Stay away because there's no reason for you to interact with crooks if you don't need to. So you check before you click, and tip number 2 is obviously check after you click, when you reach wherever you're going. And it may not be the same as the actual link you clicked, because typically what we notice these days is the crooks will bounce you around through 2 or 3 different sites. One that looks legit, probably a hacked site that kind of maybe looks more legitimate than just some random cloud service they set up yesterday. So a decent looking business link that you click, and then they bounce you around, and ultimately you might end up on a link that's completely different even from the one you clicked. So check before you click and check after you click. And as I advised in the article that we wrote today, and as we've advised before, if you're unsure, if you're doing this on your mobile phone and you can't see in the address bar clearly, because mobile phones, everything's a bit more cramped, it's harder to see what URLs you're really on. Consider, if you're not sure, consider putting your phone down, go to your laptop, log in there instead and to your email, and actually go and check the links where you've got more space and a better chance of actually finding out that something's bad is going on. The third tip, we've gone through this before, avoid any login pages that you reach through links in emails, no matter whether you think they're legit or not. After all, if it's a service like Outlook Web Access that you use all the time, you should know how to get there, you'll know how to log in via the legitimate pages, and you should go and find out for yourself how you get to your settings, logging information, all that stuff. So if there is a problem with your account and you can log in, you know how to log in correctly, and you know how to go and look for problems inside the account itself instead of relying on the say-so of some email that could have come from anywhere. So if you never click login links in emails, even if you think they're legitimate, then you simply cannot click fake ones. And that makes the problem a lot easier for you to solve, because it means that the crooks can try as hard as they like. If they can't entice you to click the link that takes you to the fake page, they're not going to get your password in the first place. The fourth tip, I bet you know what it is. Turn on two-factor authentication if you can, where you get the one-time codes that are either texted to your phone or generated by an app. You need your username, you need your password, then you need the one-time code, which is different every time. A little bit of hassle for you, but it means if the crooks do phish your password, it's much less useful to them because they have to get your code as well. It also means that if you get a message saying, hey, here's a login code, and you're not trying to log in, it's an excellent telltale that somebody else is trying to log in for you, and that gives you an indication that something's wrong and you can go and do something about it. The fifth tip, talked about this a couple of weeks ago, never change security settings on your computer on the say-so of an email. As we've seen before, it's a very common trick with crooks. They say, oh, you need to open this document, and when you open it, it looks like garbage, and then a message pops up. It's not really a message that pops up. It's actually built in bogusly into the document that says, oh, you've got the wrong code page, or this is encrypted. You need to click the enable content or enable macros or change security button. Never do that. If an email tells you to change your security settings, in order to act on the email itself, assume that it's fake. Because if you don't do what the email is telling you, then you will completely avoid the risk that what the email is telling you to do is to lower your security to give the crooks a foothold. And the last thing, the sixth tip, is if, for example, if you've received something like this and you click through and you try to log in and then afterwards you realise, oh dear, I think I made a boo-boo, don't panic, but act quickly. Go and change your own password before the crooks try to log in themselves, because if they're able to get in and change your password, they can lock you out of your own account. And of course, don't use the same password on more than one account. We all know that by now, because if the crooks phish a password in a scam like this, one thing they do, it's called credential stuffing. They will try it on your email account, but they'll also try it on all the other accounts they know that belong to you, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever it might be, just in case you've used the same password, and then they kind of get 2 or 3 or 4 for the price of 1. So those are my 6 tips. Go through them very, very quickly. Check links in email before you click. Don't click casually and plan to look later. However, the second tip, check links after you click as well, because if you check twice, measure once, like any good carpenter, you're much less likely to get the cut wrong. Third tip, avoid login links or any link in an email that leads you to a login page, no matter if you think it's genuine, because that way you'll never try and log in from a fake link if you never try to log in from links at all. Fourth tip, turn on two-factor authentication if you can, because it's a little bit of hassle for you, but makes things a great deal more difficult for the crooks. Fifthly, do not act on emails telling you, oh, in order to do this thing that you need to do, you need to turn this off, turn that on, stop your antivirus, change this filter, enable macros in the document, or anything like that. If an email is telling you to change your security settings, don't do it, because it's almost certain that it's a crook trying to get you to lower your defenses deliberately so they can jump in, and then they'll probably raise the defenses behind you to make it hard for you to go back in and fix the damage that they've done. And lastly, if you do think you've made a mistake, please go and change your passwords right away. In the same way that if you think you've put your credit card into a fake page, take your card out of your wallet, turn it over, phone the number on it, and report it to the bank straight away. The sooner you do it, the less chance the crooks have got to steam in. And the last couple of suggestions I'll make just before I finish is, if you're a sysadmin or if you work in the IT department and part of your job is helping people be more aware and find out about bad stuff early rather than late, I just want to mention 2 Sophos products that you might not have heard of. One is called Sophos Phish Threat. It's a phishing simulator. We have mentioned it on the Facebook Live videos before. And the idea is, you as the sysadmin or the IT department, you can test out your users in a very sympathetic way. We don't try and make them feel foolish or anything. But the idea is, you can pick from common phishing templates like the one we just saw and put your users to the test when it's you on the other end of the line, not the crooks trying to scam them. The idea is, get them to make their mistakes and learn from them when it actually doesn't matter. And the second thing I'd like to mention is a toolkit or a system that we have called Sophos Intelix. Just go and search for that, Intelix. And what that is, it's an API into a way of connecting up. You use a web connection to a set of servers that we run, and you can do real-time lookups yourself from your own tools, from your own scripts, from your own programs, using just about any programming or scripting language you like. Just an HTTPS web interface. You get the results back in JSON in a trice, and you can do real-time live lookups of things like URLs, domain names, and files. So if you're trying to add some extra protection to systems of your own to make sure, hey, did Sophos, I've just got this link, what if Sophos found out that it was bad 90 seconds before I got it? Wouldn't it be nice to know? And with Sophos Intelix, you can do that because you do a real-time lookup, you get the answer very promptly, and then you can decide whether you want to take additional action based on information that's coming in almost real time from our own threat researchers. So thanks for listening, everybody. Please stay safe out there. Remember, when it comes to phishing, scams and emails and anything like that, if in doubt, don't give it out. So stay safe, stay healthy, and until next week, stay secure.